Welcome back, Blockheads. We are now on to block 18. This one is a fun one. Looks harder than it is, but it is by the uber talented Heather Briggs of My So Quilty Life. The name of her block is Sweet Pea, which definitely fits what her style and look is. So let's take a look. I have two different color versions here for Heather's block. And we're going to do a new unit. I don't think it's done anywhere else, but this little fun guy here. And so we're going to start with that one. And you're going to take your square and sew a triangle on one side of it. Again, repeat that. So on the opposite side, press. And now the thing that you do have to pay attention to is this is on the bias. And then we're going to actually add another half square triangle to the other side to make the unit, but you're sewing bias to bias, so you have to be careful with that. I do like to trim this away to be 1/4 of an inch so that you get your perfect little point right there. I line up the seam at a 1/4 of an inch there, and it's just a tad bit that you're trimming off, but it helps when you're lining up your next piece. So then once we've sewn the triangle on from edge to edge, and I sew with this side up so I can see exactly where I want my seam to fall. And I want it to fall just this side of the seam. So then that's going to give me a perfect square right there. So when sewing bias, it's very, very stretchy. So ideally you don't have a problem at all if you're sewing bias to straight. And I always put if I'm doing bias to a straight edge, you always put the bias on the bottom because your lower feed dog sends the fabric through a little faster, and so that will compensate for that. With this one, since you're sewing bias to bias, don't stretch it as you're sewing. Just put it in, lightly guide it all the way through, and then really you'll be okay since it's a fairly short distance. But you just don't want to pull on it and stretch it like this, but it does make a big difference. So we've made 4 of those, and next we're going to do the flying geese unit, which is the flying geese 4 at a time method. So we have a video on the 4 flying geese at a time, so we'll have a link in the description on a really involved, more tutorial on how to make that. But same, we're going to make a big square, so 2 squares on those. Cut it apart, you'll get this, add another one, and then we're going to trim right here. And then this is going to give us our geese unit, so that's 2, and we repeat on here, and it makes 4. So once that is done, here's this geese, and I'm going to sew another rectangle here to create this unit. So again, it looks hard, but you're basically, this is 1 unit, this is 1 unit, and a square in the middle. This one was fun because I did a light background or more of a medium background. So again, if you squint at it, and depending on how I quilted, it does somewhat look circular by doing that. And then this one's a little bolder. And striking by using the white backgrounds. So have fun with your fabric choices. Don't be afraid of this, but it's super fun. Just take it piece by piece. So we're pretty much finished with this block. Special thanks to Heather for creating this block. Don't forget to post your version of the block on our Facebook group. We can't wait to see what your status is or what your color combinations are. And we'll see you next week.